All right, here we are with sub-assembly number 2. It's going to be the grate wheel. The grate wheel has these rectangular holes that are at an angle on the grate wheel. You want to use the side. There's an indicator mark in the center of the gear that has a very fine blue hairline mark. That's the side that goes up. So lay your gear so that that is facing up. Now you can see that fine line on one side. It's only on one side. You want that to be facing up. Now these are called the Pawls. And what you want to do is you want to glue these into the grate wheel facing this direction. Now don't try and fit them in there before you put glue in there. You've got to put glue in first. If you don't, you'll get them in and you'll think they're going to be okay, but they are not going to be okay. So a little bit of glue in each of those. And once you've got glue in each of those, you can wipe off any extra on the top and the bottom. And that fine line is around the center. And then you're going to take that crutch and you're going to wiggle it into that hole. It takes a little bit. Okay? Now you've got to make sure that these Pawls, I think I said crutch, you've got to make sure these Pawls are all the way flush. They're all the way flush. Now you'll see that one's sticking up a little bit. You've got to make sure that it's all the way flush. Now I've even seen people try and hammer these. You don't want to do that unless you really have to. If you press down pretty good, it's still not all the way in, Mr. Sullivan. Well, I will search for my hammer now. My hammer disappeared. I can't believe it. Mason, can you grab my hammer? What a guy, my assistant, ladies and gentlemen, Mason. So you can very, very carefully tap that pawl in, and you'll notice it should be flush with the gear. Now, at any time, if that gear, if that pawl breaks, cracks, as you look at your Pawls, if there's any errors in the edge of the pawl, then it's garbage. Throw it away, get a new one, stain it, and use it, because we don't want any flaws in the plywood. You know, sometimes you get a piece of plywood and there's kind of a real dark spot, and that might be a knot in the plywood. Well, if there's any kind of error whatsoever in the edge of this piece of material, it's not going to do what you want it to do. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to get just a tiny bit of glue and put it in here again. I know I put a little bit there before. I'm going to wipe off the extra. Sometimes students will put glue on this whole edge and they'll put it in. Well, these are supposed to flex just a little bit, see? So you don't want to glue anywhere except for in that hole. And now we're going to put this in. Now, if you accidentally put this gear upside down and the fine line that's around the center of the circle is not facing up, then you're going to have to start this whole gear over again. It won't work. So I'm going to tap this in. Now I'm very hesitant in having you use a hammer because hammers do damage to wood. So I want you to try your best to press it in there, but you'll notice this one, they're flush, they're in all the way, and this is going to work just fine. So now Mason has his grate wheel assembly just right. Now if you just start whacking away at this thing and this breaks off, then you'll need to come and see me. We might be able to fix it, but chances are we're going to have to replace this assembly. And so this is the grate wheel. These are the Pawls. You're going to do it face up with glue in the rectangular holes. And then you're going to be off and running on sub-assembly number 3. Woo!